Hello, Leo, and welcome to your reading. So, the cards that came up, the decks that came up for you was the Shadowscapes and the Labyrinth Tarot. So, immediately we're getting a sense of like light and dark, right? And another thing that came up was my personal gratitude jar. So, I don't know if you have a gratitude jar or if you have a practice of gratitude, but you might want to start on it. So, my gratitude jar is pretty tightly packed, so I'm gonna have to make a mess. Only for you, Leo. Oh man. And there's cat hair also. Okay. So, one thing that Leo can be grateful for. It's my sister's name. Another thing Leo can be grateful for. It's my spouse's name. Another thing Leo can be grateful for. Leo, be grateful, Leo. Creating inner worlds. Okay. I don't know whether the last one applies to you, but the rest of it does. Okay, so the rest of it, obviously, you don't have to be grateful to my sister and my fiance, but you probably have a spouse or like a love interest, um, a partner, what have you. You probably have a sister or a brother. So it's sort of saying like be grateful for your family and see the good that they do for you. This little guy is all about um, restoring your sense of self-worth, especially when like nobody knows your name, nobody knows what you've done, nobody can is like seeing your talents or you know so this represents whatever workspace that you want to shine in, right? So let's just pull out cards for everything. Okay, so it kind of feels like you're grateful to your family, and you're grateful to your loved one, your partner or whatever, but they don't really see much in you. They don't see what you see in yourself, which is very frustrating for you. I can understand, Leo. Oh my god, I can understand. But this has to do with work, and work is going to be like the easiest, I guess, because your work will show. Your work will show. So let me just pull up, let me just place it. Jack of Pentacles. Interesting. And then we have the 10 of Pentacles upside down. So this is so interesting. So in terms of work, right, it looks like you kind of, in terms of work, you kind of need to have money, to begin with, because like the Jack of Pentacles is my heiress card. She is an heiress, you know. She is going to inherit a lot of money. She already has plenty, you know. Yeah, she has plans on like how to grow it and everything, but yeah. um, and then the Knight of Cups is all about standing for something, you know. This guy is giving me the vibes of and look, we have Leo here. Oh, this is a good sign, you know. Okay, so Knight of Cups, right? People want to know what you believe in, you know, what you would um, die for. maybe let's not be that dramatic, but like people want to know. People want to know, you know, how committed you are. People want to know um, how sincere you are, and people want to know how much fire burns for, you know, what you want to see in the world. You know, you have your ideal vision, and you want to establish it. So that is important. And like, if it were up to you, you would just present this side of you, and you know, that's that. But it's sort of saying that, you know, um, having a lot of money, using all of that money, spending your resources wisely, and actually spending is a good idea. Okay, like people flock to those who have money anyway, you know. It doesn't matter if you're dirt poor, like trying to make some money, as long as you don't look dirt poor. That makes such a big difference. But this is talking about the raw stuff, not really the appearances. So even even when nobody is watching, you know, you need to spend. You need to spend on what you believe in, you know, what you feel strongly about, what contributes to your vision, right? And now let's see what this um, sense of clarity is all about. Because, yeah, I guess if anything can cut through to your sibling, it's a sense of clarity. But with regards to what? Emotional. Yeah. Okay. So that's good. That makes sense, right? Um, you need that emotional clarity. Um, you need to exude that you're on top of your, um, you know, psychological inner work, whatever. You know, you go to therapy, you speak, you know, with clarity, and your sister or your brother or, you know, all of your siblings in your family are gonna come around and like look at you um, with some respect, hopefully. And since the blade was upright to begin with in this reading, I'm guessing that that's already happening. You know, they're like, maybe Leo has a point. Yeah. So then we have love, and love has the Ten of Pence upside down, which is just like, oh, well, okay. So maybe Leo, you're in a position where your partner kind of expects you to provide for them, or maybe you are dependent on them, and uh, yeah, something's off about the money aspect, the material aspect. There's no proper harmony between the two of you. There's no clarity on like who pays what. Like maybe your partner can pay the bills and maybe you can pay for the fun stuff, or maybe you pay the bills and your partner pays for the fun stuff. It doesn't have to be a clear 50-50, but understanding what you and your partner can give, um, and allowing each person to give what they can instead of forcing them to give what they can't will make a difference in terms of like respect and authority. Okay, so yeah. um, what appearances would be good for you? Okay, what appearances would feel natural to you? What feels natural for you to work on appearances wise? What feels pretty and exciting to you, or like handsome and sexy to you? So let's nicely base all of this realness. Let's base all of this um, good looking energy on some realness. So um, in terms of work, right? You're spending a lot of money on yourself and on the things that you want to present to the world, the ideal vision that you have and everything. But in terms of like a mask that you can wear in front of others, is happiness, So the best thing would be, let me see, Hangman. Yeah, I guess you can't really control um, the joy. You have to adopt um, an attitude of gratitude and surrender, because that can help you, just um, have more access to joy on a daily basis. Be more feeling, be more open to feeling. So yeah, that will really help. You being emotionally open, you being open to joy especially, is something that's going to make you really appealing to the crowd, um, at your work, or whatever it is that you want to be a star of. Okay, so yeah, spend some money. When it comes to your work, spend the money that you need to spend. Okay, don't just sit on your resources. Spend the money to further your vision, um, to make you feel secure even, and to uh, to spend the money on the aesthetics even, um, on neatness, on, yeah, on. So I'm so I'm seeing the Virgo over here for the clean girl aesthetic. I'm seeing Cancer over here for like, buy yourself whatever you need to, like, to feel secure. So yeah, definitely spend some money on your vision. Okay, and put effort into opening up to joy. And the best way you can do that is through an attitude of gratitude, my dear Leo. So let's see, like with your family, right? So when it comes to your family, right, the ideal romantic in you, the one that believes is the one that's like most receptive to your family. I don't know why they need to see you as someone hopeful, whimsical, and not at all cynical. you know, yeah. It's funny because, there's a lot of swords going on here, so you would expect some level of cynicalness, some level of like harshness to your spirit here. Um, but what's coming through? Okay, you know what? Um, so it seems like, for your sibling, um, although you might know your mind very clearly, you might know their mind very clearly, you know, you might be able to cut through the mental noise and give the perfect solution. Um, do not be so cut and dry, you know. The Knight of Cups is about being romantic, being poetical, being um, yeah, just whimsical even. So, you know, this might be funny, but what I'm getting now is like, okay, so for example, if um, if for example you need to tell your sibling to stop doing something that they're doing, they are less likely to receive an order from you, but they are more likely to receive the same message of like, don't do this, in the form of something poetic and soft and romantic, like kind of like um, someone like you could never do something like that. Someone like you needs to do something like this, so like fluff it up, I guess. um, it's this realness that gets displayed to your sister or your brother in a softer, sweeter way. They want the soft and the sweet. They want the whimsical and the magical, you know. It's so weird. It's so weird because I don't know, for some reason I feel like maybe you've been trying to be most logical with them, you know. Maybe you've been trying to prove to them that, you know your shit, you know what's what, and you're like no nonsense, all about the facts, you know. But for some reason they need to see you be romantic and artistic even, like, instead of giving them advice, you could give them a painting that inspires that same message within them, that sort of thing is what I'm talking about, when it comes to your siblings. Like, if you want to gain authority with them, you need to soften the way that you are perceived by them, you know. You may be like ruthless as fuck when it comes to, analyzing people and situations and getting to the heart of it. But you kind of really need to like dress it up in softness and beauty, um, and even magic, be unbelievably larger than life when you give your advice to them. Don't be so cut and dry. Don't be so, yeah, these are the facts, this is what it is, take it or leave it. Don't do that. The Show off this side of you. The side of you exists here anyway. Um, so finally, let's see about love, right? Let's get some respect and authority where your partner is concerned. So we have the Knight of Swords with the Page of Swords. Okay. So let me just take this off then. That just makes me think of like you're growing up. You're growing up in terms of like understanding what it is that you can say to people and what it is that you'll regret as soon as it leaves your mouth. Okay, so this is your reading, Leo. So to conclude, in terms of work, you gotta put in the money, you gotta stick with your beliefs and what you want to see, your vision. But when you project yourself to your colleagues or like your audience, um, project yourself as a wholly emotional person, someone with a lot of joy, someone that holds a lot of joy. And with your sibling, you can be so ruthless, you can be so on point with what it is you see in their character or in your character, or how they behave with other people. But it's not recommended that you give your advice as raw as it is, because it can be sharp, it can be cutting, it can be ruthless. You need to dress it up. You need to bring out this whimsical nature in you and give the same message, with a bit of magic, with a bit of love, with a bit of poetic nonsense. Because despite what you think, being a know-it-all is not actually that. Being a know-it-all is not actually something that can help you gain favor among your siblings. Not gain favor, gain respect, gain standing with your siblings. And finally, I feel like the love aspect is the most difficult, um, because it really takes time. It really just takes time to get better at this, because the Page of Swords had come up before as a clarifier. It just means that you're still you're still just learning. You're still learning, the things that you say that you'll regret, or the things that uh, you won't regret, that you'll feel happy to have said. So you need to understand slowly, day by day. And that's the sort of thing that will gain you a lot of respect and standing with your loved one. And of course, that's just the appearance part of it, just learning learning what to say and what not to say. It's just the appearance part of it. In reality, you need to do this too. You need to like figure out um, how to better manage finances together. Who pays for what, who wants to pay for what. All of those questions sort of need to be answered here, and they need to be answered in a loving way. Pay attention to what they can give, pay attention to what you can give, what you want to give. Yeah, things like that. And that's it for your reading, Leo. I hope you liked it. I hope, by next week, people are starting to look at you with um, yeah, I hope people are starting to look at you with new eyes.